What is up, guys? King Arthur here, back with another episode of Is It Good? Today we're going to be taking a look at the perk Stonecold Stronghold. This video has been highly requested by the community, and I appreciate you guys' enthusiasm in suggesting it. Since this video took a little bit longer to record, also I've been a little bit busier, I'm sorry that it's come out a little bit later than I usually put out videos, but, you know, I did go pretty in-depth, and we're going to get right into it. So let's take a look at the game description. Standing your ground creates a defensive circle which boosts damage and armor over time while inside. The modifier is enemies killed inside the defensive circle also boost damage and armor. So as far as in-depth goes, there isn't much to say about this perk. It's very straightforward and it explains itself really nicely. The real purpose of this video is going to be to analyze the best combinations one can use with this perk to find the most success in their games. So Stonecold is one of the most versatile and meta perks in this game, and for good reason. It is a very strong high round perk for most of the maps that's classified Blood of the Dead, 9, and Voyage. All maps have good camping strats that involve a wonder weapon, and this perk can make your game significantly easier if camping is your strategy. So the gameplay you're watching is a good example of the classified elevator strat, which is a very beginner-friendly strat that can yield super high amounts of XP and some nice combat record stat padding. So if you'd like to see a video of me going in depth on this specific strategy, please let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to break this strat down for y'all. So back to the task at hand, here is what I learned about Stonecold Stronghold while playing with it. It takes roughly 3 seconds of standing still to set a stronghold circle, in which you will receive plus 5 armor every 2 seconds that you stand in it, meaning full armor will take 20 seconds to achieve in one stronghold. Stepping out of the circle resets your armor and charge, and this can be annoying, especially when you have to pick up drops. Armor stops charging on its own at half strength, so presumably the full armor bar adds 200 health. So with Stronghold active and Specialist active, you can have 400 health since Specialist adds 100 armor health. However, since the passive charge stops at half armor, your max is 300 without help from your Specialist. While you have the modifier active, I'm not sure if the coding is buggy still, but killing enemies in the circle doesn't actually boost your armor past 300. I'm not sure what effect it has on damage, but this would be super hard to test for, and I really just am not sure how to test for it. But it's so hard to notice that I'm 100% sure it is less than 10% difference even at max like influence it has. And I've read a lot of Reddit articles on this and seen a couple YouTube videos on this that say basically the same thing about the modifier. Essentially, its damage buff is very minor, so it's probably going to end up being less than 10% damage buff. So last thing I want to mention is the Stonecold Killer Challenge, which is a challenge that requires the player to get 1,000 headshots with Stonecold Stronghold in your perks. The reason I want to mention this is because Deadshot also requires headshots for a challenge, and both Deadshot with the modifier and Stronghold have amazing synergy as it is, so doing both of these challenges at the same time is highly recommended. So that's a great segue into the next topic, which is going to be synergy. So what perks, weapons, equipments, and elixirs go well with Stonecold Stronghold? Bear with me, this is a long list, so we're just going to get right into it. So for synergistic perks to go with this, I just said it, Deadshot Dealer with the modifier is probably the best combo in this game as far as perks go. Alone, they're both good, but together they make a really cohesive tag team, and it's really helpful to be able to pop heads off of zombies even on round 30 with an LMG. And, you know, it's really reliable too. That damage buff really does make a difference when you're using Deadshot. So Deadshot is definitely on there as long as you're using the modifier with it. Bandolier Bandit is another helpful perk to use because it increases your ammo stock, and having more ammo is really helpful for camping strategies because it means you're going to be able to camp longer and you're going to be able to do more damage to the zombies that are coming at you, that is. So Electric Burst is another good example of a perk that synergizes well if it's put in the modifier slot, because the modifier basically allows you to shock any enemies that get too close with the melee, and this can be really helpful on any map. Classified is a little less so because there aren't mini-bosses, but any map with mini-bosses, It's going to be super helpful because if you're getting harassed by a mini boss that gets into your circle, you can pretty much just one shock them with your electric burst modifier and then shoot them a couple times with your wonder weapon and they'll be dead instantly at that point. Another perk to mention that's good is Quick Revive, which is just helpful for increasing your recovery speed. Quick Revive is just one of those things that if you don't really know what to throw on, you can just throw this on because it benefits you so much. It's really helpful to be able to regen at the speed that it lets you regen at, because sometimes regen can be really slow, and in camping strategy, you need all the health you can get. Another one is PhD Slider, which negates 66% explosive damage, and this is really helpful because in most of your camping strategies, you're going to be using the Hellion Salvo Pack-a-Punched, and it's gonna get you killed if you're not careful. So, you know, having PhD Slider on there basically eliminates a lot of the thinking that goes into firing that thing, and it negates most of the damage that's going to be coming on to you from you using it. The last one I want to mention is Dying Wish, which is really great for standing your ground. It can be really helpful because if you're getting into that berserk mode, you're going to have about 9 seconds to just absolutely decimate anything in front of you, and it gives you just enough time to really get yourself cleared and resituated before you come back to regular health, and it can be really, really helpful for your game if you're saving yourself from taking it down. So let's look into some equipment and weapons that go well with this. Claymores are really helpful for killing any zombies that get too close. Sentry guns to lay down extra fire are also nice, but you have to realize that their recharge time is going to be a little obnoxious, and you're going to be using it far less than any of the other selections you can make. Wraith Fire is probably the best thing to use. It kills anything and everything that congests your stronghold, that is, anything that gets in there and is just making your life annoying. You can just throw a Wraith Fire at, turn around, let your shield take some damage, and let that Wraith Fire just do its thing and kill everything that has any malintention towards you. Another good weapon to look at is going to be LMGs. They're probably the best weapons you can use with Stonecold, as well as Wonder Weapons, but Wonder Weapons are just without saying. They're going to be the best for crowd control killing, which is going to be your big deciding factor when you're using a camping strategy such as this. So let's look at some specialists that pair well. Really, any specialist is going to pair well with this, as long as it doesn't require you to move. Any specialist with an area of effect is, that sounds redundant, is going to be really helpful for you in this strategy, that is a camping strategy, because you're going to be able to just set them down and kill anything that comes to you. And so for this reason, I think the best specialist to use is going to end up being the Ragnaroks, because of the way you can place them and just let them absolutely wreck anything that steps into their vicinity. Another good one is going to be the Viper and Dragon because of its storm effect, but the Chakrams are also really good for that same exact effect. And basically any specialist in the Aether story is going to be good other than the Sword, which encourages movement. And the Ragnaroks, as I said, are going to probably be the best, whereas the Sword is going to be something you're going to want to stay away from because you have to leave your circle if you want to get the most utility out of it. So finally, let's look at some elixirs that pair well. Obviously, anywhere but here is great for when you stand your ground too long and get trapped and need to escape. Head Scan is also really strong for helping crowd control with your LMGs. Temporal Gift is great if you get an insta-kill. It's really helpful to use your LMG stock and just mow down anything that you can for about a solid minute with that Temporal Gift activated. Equipment is also going to be useful because you can recharge your Wraith Fires, your Sentries, your Claymores, whatever you're using on your class. It's really helpful to basically get a whole restock of equipment back. Stock option is phenomenal for mowing down hordes, and I recommend it on pretty much any class you're running Stonecold Stronghold on, just because it is so powerful to be able to take ammo without reloading for that long of time. If this game were realistic, you'd be melting your gun before you ran out of ammo, but thankfully, this is Call of Duty. So let's take a final look at my favorite class to run with Stronghold here. If you guys like this idea of me giving you a good class setup, please leave a comment below. I'm trying something new today. I wanted to see if this was maybe something y'all would be interested in, and I think setting up a really smart class that's going to get the most utility out of a perk is something that can be helpful for all of us. So let's get right into it. My favorite class to run with Stonecold is Bandolier Bandit, Dying Wish, Stonecold, and Deadshot with the modifier. Electric Burst can be traded out for Deadshot, but Deadshot is just personally something that I like more on my class. Your specialist is going to be Ragnaroks or the Viper and Dragon, depending on which map you're playing. Their storm effects are just so helpful, and you're going to be able to just set them down and forget them when you actually get into high rounds and the zombies are just pouring in. So it's really helpful for that. The equipment is going to be Wraithfire or Sentry, based on your preference. Claymores are also in there, but personally I use Wraithfire because Wraithfire has just so much utility and can kill zombies reliably at any round, which is really helpful. Your starting weapon doesn't matter, and your elixirs are going to be Temporal Gift, Equipment, Anywhere But Here, and Stock Option, and I already explained what those are for, so that's definitely the best elixir setup you can run if Stonecold is going to be on your perks. So that's pretty much all I have to say about this perk. Let's give it a final score. I'm going to say that Stonecold is, since it is so versatile and so unique, I really do think this perk sets itself apart from the middle of the pack, and I really want to give this perk a solid score, so I'm going to throw an 8 out of 10 at it. The modifier doesn't really change the way I feel about it. The modifier is actually kind of ass, and I really wouldn't use the modifier with it. Instead, I would just say that they're both about 8 out of 10, no matter which version of Stonecold you're using, modifier or not. So yeah, 8 out of 10. That is what Stonecold is in my eyes. It definitely is a top 5 perk in this game, and you could throw it on a lot of classes, and it would end up being just fine and dandy. So that is my final opinion on it. If you liked the video, don't forget to drop a like, and if you want to see more informational videos in the future, please drop a sub. Any suggestions are welcome in the comments section for future videos. I will be doing an informational one up next, not an Is It Good, but when I come back for another Is It Good, we're going to be taking a look at Bandolier Bandit. Alright guys, that is all for me, so this is King Arthur signing off. I hope you have a wonderful day, and stay royal. Peace out.